So in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to find the ideal product for your business and how to go about doing so successfully. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure you stay till the end of the video so that you can get all the tips on how I found the ideal product for my business. Hi guys, it's Faith. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for clicking on the video and tuning in, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm just going to be sharing 10 quick tips with you on how to find a vendor or manufacturer for your online business and how to source a product. In this video, we're just going to talk about using a platform such as Alibaba or AliExpress, just because I know quite a few people use that platform and it's readily available to many people across the world. So we're just going to use that. So as you may or may not know, I am the owner of bykanuku, which is a jewellery brand that sells trendy and affordable jewellery for women. When I was starting up my business, I thought, how am I going to find a product? And how am I going to find a product that I like and my customers will like? So I looked around, I went on YouTube and I did some research. And that's tip number one, to do some research. What might work for someone else might not work for you. When I went on YouTube, I found a ton of videos on what other people were doing and how it helped them. And I used it as a guide for myself. I did not just go and do what they did, because different people have different target markets and different audiences that they're trying to cater to. So I made sure that I did my research. I thought, who is it that I am trying to serve? What is my demographic? What sort of things do they like? What sort of things will they be able to afford? So I thought of all that and tied up those loose ends before I thought of what type of product I wanted and how much money I could inject into finding said products. So what I did was I made a mind map of my ideal customer, and I thought to myself, well, I want my customer to be someone that will be able to afford quality things, but things that will still be affordable. I didn't want to make it too expensive, because my target audience is mainly 18 to 35-year-olds and female. And I thought, well, what would that person look like? And I thought, well, they might be busy, they might be going to work, they might be going to college, university, and they will most likely be in full-time employment or education. I thought this person might be doing extra activities such as going to the gym and going out. I wanted my jewellery to be like everyday jewellery, but jewellery that you can spruce up. So you can either dress it up or dress it down. But then I was like, say this person, as in my target audience, they might want to go to the gym. And for me, one pet peeve was like, I don't like taking off jewellery and putting it back on, taking it off, putting it back on. So I thought I need to be able to get something that if this person forgets and goes to sleep in it, or they have a shower in it, or they go to the gym and sweat in it, then it won't be too bad, because it will be able to have a standard of quality. So they'll be able to do these things in said product. So that's how I went about thinking of my materials. So I researched the materials and I said, right, I won't be able to have that quality factor if I was to have an alloy or a brass or a copper material, let's say, for instance, because they tarnish easily. So then I did more research and I found out that stainless steel and sterling silver would have been able to give me that quality factor, but yet still be at an affordable price point for my customer. So that's how I informed myself on what material I should use. So that's how tip number one is beneficial. You have to do your research so that you can know what you can afford, number one, and you have to think ahead. You can't just say, oh, I would like to have a luxury jewellery brand, but then you start sourcing a product that is made of brass, because it will tarnish. It will tarnish very quickly. And if you think about it, if someone is of a higher class and let's say they like the finer things in life, and you're looking at catering to, let's say, middle-aged ladies that go to work, they go to the gym, and they go out for really nice lunches and dinners with their friends, And this person doesn't like taking off their jewelry, so they like wearing their jewelry, and then they go to the gym. Well, once they start sweating or going for a swim, their jewelry will tarnish quite quickly, and they won't be happy with the quality that they were sold because it didn't last very long. So without further ado, let's go on to tip number 2. When you're sourcing your product and you find a vendor, make sure that you ask them as many questions as possible. Take the opportunity before buying the product to get to know it to some extent. Ask for pictures, ask for videos, ask for evidence in different lightings of the product, because you don't know if this person is using someone else's photos, or you want to see the product in the current state. So for me, I asked loads of questions and I requested plenty of videos and photos, because I was like, I'm putting my money into this and I don't want it to go to waste. I don't want to be dissatisfied with the quality of the product. So I tried my best to limit that, and I just thought, what can I do in order to prevent me getting a bulk order of products that I don't like? So I asked them, can you please take a picture of the earrings? Can you put them on? Like, they have samples, so you can ask them to put on a sample. Can you please take it out of the packet? Can you show me a video from different angles? Can you show me what it looks like in a jewelry box? Most jewelry manufacturers also have some sort of packaging material that they also sell. It's just down to you to think, would you like to find an alternative vendor, or would you like to get them to source your packaging as well as your product? For me, I did them separately just because it was more affordable that way, and the people that made my boxes, I felt like they understood my design better than the ones that were sourcing my product. So consider whether or not you would like to have ready-made items, so things that are already trending. Those will already be in stock, so they will be cheaper to reproduce and then be dispatched to you, rather than having custom items, so for instance your own designs. At some point I would like to have my own custom jewelry collection, but you have to think of affordability. I was like, Faith, you need to be able to walk before you can run. So I decided that I was going to source products that were already trending and fashionable, and things that were already proven to be a success in the industry, before I went and started selling my own ideas, because I didn't know how my target audience would receive that. So that is some advice. I mean, by all means, if you would like to have your own custom made jewelry design, then go ahead. But from a standpoint of starting a business on a budget, I think it's more worth it for you to stock items that are already made and ready to ship. So tip number 3 is to gauge the behavior of the salesperson that you're interacting with. So when I filtered down everything, I refined my search. And when I picked the vendors that were aligning with what I was looking for, I started to think about how this person was interacting with me. Were they helpful? Were they willing and ready to answer all my questions? Were they knowledgeable? How were they coming across to me, and how was I feeling during my interaction with them? Now, I did feel that some vendors were a bit more, can you please go and look on our website? So they were distracting me from the actual platform that I was using, and they were asking me to go and look at their website. Now, for someone that is completely new to starting their business, I felt like some vendors were a bit more like, you need to do this, you need to do this. But some were very willing and very friendly. They were more than happy to guide me through the process, and they would be like, look, these are our best sellers, like, I'm happy to go through it with you. And they were very happy and willing to quickly show me what I needed. Now for me, I was trying to balance uni as well as balance this business and balance work at the same time, so I didn't always have the time to go through pages and pages of products. So if I saw something and I was like, well, have you got it in this color, or have you got it in this style? I didn't want to go off of the platform I was using and then go onto the vendor's website individually, one at a time, and look to try and find that product. I wanted for them to be like, this is the right direction that you need to go in. This is where you can find A, B, C. and then that was it. So some vendors are a lot better at, being more supportive than others. That is something that you need to take into consideration, as well as how long it takes for them to reply. Now, you have to bear in mind that if you are in England or you are in the US and you're ordering something from China or India, anywhere in Asia, just if you're ordering things internationally, you need to be aware that there will be a time difference. So for me, or for a lot of other people, the time difference will be quite big. If you're ordering from China, when we are awake, they are asleep, and when we are asleep, they are awake. So you need to think, how am I going to balance this? When am I going to have time to communicate with this individual, this salesperson? You need to factor that in. So if you're thinking, oh, I can't have the time to speak to them, then you need to reconsider which country you're able to source your product from in order to communicate with them effectively. Always use a trusted platform. Alibaba will be able to ensure your transaction. So if you were to do business on that platform and you pay via Alibaba, then you'd be protected. Just make sure that you look at the seller's verification so that you can know, yes, number one, this is a verified business. Number two, they have good reviews. Number three, they're well established. So I looked for how long they were in business. So I tried to only do business with vendors that were operating for 5 years plus, because I was like, yes, these people will know what they're speaking about and they'll be able to advise me accordingly, rather than someone that was potentially just in business for 1 year, because they might not have as much experience. So tip number four, consider the vendor's minimum order quantity. So when you're on websites such as Alibaba or AliExpress, it will say MOQ, and that stands for minimum order quantity. Why is this important? It is very important to consider this because some factories and some vendors only allow you to order a certain minimum quantity. So let's say your budget for starting your business is £500 and you're thinking, I would like to have a range of styles. So I would like to have 5 different styles, let's say. So let's say I would like to have, let's say 6. So 3 different designs of earrings and 3 different designs of necklaces. And I would like to have 10 of each product, so that my customers can have a bit of variety, and then I won't have too much product in case I don't sell everything as quickly. So you need to consider, when finding a vendor, how much that vendor's minimum order quantity is. It's no use going through trying to find vendor and then thinking, oh, this vendor's minimum order quantity per design is 50. That is not going to be beneficial for you because you're already over budget and you will not be able to meet that threshold of 50 items per design, because your quantity and your threshold is only 10 items per design. So this is something that you need to consider. However, this leads me on to point number 5. You can, like I said before, refine your search so you only see the vendors that are operating within your budget. So you can adjust the MOQ, you can adjust the material that you're looking for. So let's say you are trying to source costume jewelry because you're looking to cater to a younger audience and their budget might be a lot less than, let's say, someone that is of working age. Then you can amend it so that it will only show you costume jewelry material. So you can limit it to show you only brass, copper, etc. What else? You can also refine it so it only shows you specific countries, and yeah, there are a few things that you can adjust it to suit your needs. So yeah, just refine the search to suit you and to suit your needs, because that's a tool that's there for you. So make sure that you use it wisely. Tip number 6 is to get samples. This is very important. If it's in your budget and you have the time frame to do so, I'd say get samples, because it gives you the opportunity to test the product out prior to ordering it in bulk. So for me, I wanted to source more necklaces and actually, I think I got all the earrings that I wanted, but I wanted more necklaces and I wanted to do rings. But for me, I did think, Rings are a bit tricky because there's different sizes, and I was like, it's not the ideal thing to start with because you don't want to be getting refunds if someone orders the incorrect ring size and you've just launched your business. You don't, it's too much of a hassle. So I thought, Faith, hold off on the rings for now. So something to bear in mind is, although you do ask for plenty of pictures and videos from different angles, you can still end up with items that are not to the quality that you expected or that was portrayed in the photos on the vendor website. So tip number 7 is to, I already said this, but I'm just going to reiterate it. So think about the quality of the material that you want. So for example, like I said earlier, for my business, I decided to go with 925 sterling silver and stainless steel, as those were the best materials for my target audience and that were affordable for my budget, and also what I considered to be affordable for the target market that I was catering to. This is kind of like a side tip. So in keeping with values and the ethos of your brand, this is a personal thing that I did for myself. You may or may not decide to implement it for your own business, but I wanted to make sure that the manufacturers that I was sourcing my product from would be able to treat their employees and be able to operate alongside the values that I held and wanted to portray from my business. There's no point saying that you would like to be environmentally friendly or you would like to be an ethical brand and then you're not upholding that throughout your manufacturing process. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but I just thought that was something that I held very close to my heart, and it was very important that I made sure that I asked certain questions to ensure that the employees at the factory are being treated fairly and that they have good working conditions that are safe and that they were certified. You can check this out on the websites. There is a place for like the credentials and all the certificates and qualifications. You can check that out. But I made sure that I asked them specific questions such as, what does your factory do to help the environment and to reduce your carbon footprint? And I also asked about what it was like working there. And when I asked those questions, I thought, how do I feel about the answer? And then I decided on what vendors I was going to choose. This can be linked to if you're having a boutique, because you need to think about fast fashion. Are the employees of your factory working in a sweatshop? Are they being paid fairly for the hours that they work? Are they working in good conditions, for example? These are things that you should consider because you want to ensure that those that are associated with your brand are also thriving and, you know, to a certain standard. I know you might think that from the startup perspective that these aren't important, but these are key factors. You need to be able to have and uphold the ethos and the story behind your brand. So don't deviate from that. If you put on your website that these are things that we care about, make sure that they are things that you care about, so you do check them. Yeah, so if you're selling bundles or you're selling anything, wigs, handbags, these are things you can apply to your business as well because it's pretty much the same process. Think about the material, the quality, working conditions, etc., etc., what you can afford and your target audience. So for me, like I said earlier, in terms of MOQ, some vendors are willing to negotiate, whereas others are quite strict and they'll be like, no, because of the machine, and in order for them to maintain their profit as well, they need to be able to sell a certain amount. If they were only to make 10 of an item, whereas they usually make 50, they would be using a lot of machinery and a lot of electricity in order to make that product at a smaller quantity, so they might not want to do it. However, some vendors do understand that you are new and that you are just trying to try out some products, so they will be a bit lenient. But it's always good to ask. Make sure that you don't be shy. This is the time to ask your questions as it's your money that you're investing. So I mean, hey, I asked all the questions I wanted to know the answer to, so make sure that you do the same too. And tip number 10, which is last but not least, is ensure that you have more than one vendor. Just because if you think about China, they have Chinese New Year's, they have specific festivals that basically takes them out for 1 month, up to 1 month. So you need to consider this. You don't want to be stuck and be without a manufacturer for all your products, let alone just one. Another thing that you can do is probably diversify your manufacturer. So make sure that you have one, maybe let's say in China, one in India, and one local, because you have to think of the shipping. Like I said, you have to think about, say they've sold out of one product or they've discontinued a product, but that product's actually doing quite well in your lineup. Think about, can I find another vendor that potentially sources this product also? And then you've got range, you know, maybe you like working with one vendor, so you're willing to pay a little bit higher, but just in case anything happens, then you've got a backup plan. And that is something that is wise and shows that you have good thought process behind you. So yeah, these are just 10 tips and tricks that I would advise you to do when starting up a business. I'm sorry if this video was a bit, I don't know, my camera kept cutting out, and yeah, I don't know guys, I don't know what's happening. I need to sort out my storage a bit better and hopefully everything will be a bit more cohesive. But anyways, as always, make sure you all stay safe. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you would like to see more of this sort of content. I am thinking of making this into a series. Well, all the videos that I filmed up to this point will be compiled into a playlist. But if y'all have got any specific questions or any specific topics that y'all would like me to make a video on, feel free to comment down below and interact, get to know each other. Feel free to ask a question and share the video. Hope you'll have a nice day. Bye now.